the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AV Nation.
This is AV Nation.
This is EdTech, the monthly look at the education higher ed space for the AV industry. My name is Tom Albright. I'm your host. With us, as usual, Mr. Mike Tomei from Tomei AV. How are you, brother?
Good, Tim. Doing really well, thanks.
All right. Also with us from the beautiful Southern California, UCLA, Greg Brown. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Tim. Hey, guys. Hello, world.
Also from, I almost said also from Ernie University. You should do that. Ernie Bailey from UAMS. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
And last but not least, Bill O'Donnell from the beautiful East Coast. How are you, Bob?
Hello. I'm doing well.
Doing well. All righty. First and foremost, the story I want to cover at the top of the hour here, the top of the show, is something that I got to see at Infocom. Good Lord, I did that when I was doing the show at ISE. Kramer's come out with some interesting things, and they have a fairly substantial booth at ISE. Probably square footage wise, as big or maybe even a little bit bigger than the one they do at Infocom. And some of the stuff that they've released, they are moving towards a network-based infrastructure. They're calling it the Kramer Network, which, you know, if all your products are Kramer, yeah, I get it. That's cool. Awesome. If it's not, it's a little presumptuous, but we'll move on from that. Mike, we're going to start with you on this one. There's a lot of products, including this one from Kramer, that are moving things towards the network. And then we throw in stuff like the AMX security story we had about a month or so ago. What are some of the things that we need to look at and we need to consider as all these products are going on to the network?
I think it's a good direction. I mean, I like what Kramer is doing here. They, I always kind of looked at them as switcher and scaler company, and just little boxes that would solve problems. But they're really seem to be going a good direction here. It's kind of like they're taking the ideas from a lot of other companies that have been getting popular, like SVSI or Uteligy, or even Crestron's Fusion or Extron's GVE, and kind of combining it all into one package here. And I haven't had a chance. I've just seen the videos, the marketing videos on it, this Kramer Network, but I think it's a really good direction. Especially when you look at it from like a campus-wide solution, being able to, as long as your network can handle it, being able to easily route video and audio signals around campus, and looking at more of a streaming type based solution, and centralized control rather than all of these little kind of one-off classroom installs. So I really like the direction that they're going here. I'm pretty excited to see how it all plays out, and it seems like they're really going gung-ho with this thing. And also their VIA product, their collaboration box that they have now, they have a few different flavors of it. I guess they released VIA Campus, their wireless presentation and collaboration box that also looks pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one and trying that, because I still have not found that kind of magic bullet wireless presentation box that solves everybody's problems. So I really want to try that one.
Well, let's bring somebody in who's used some of them. Bill, you guys have got a fair amount of them on your campus.
Yeah.
You ran into some issues, some firmware. One time
there
they
is
sent European plugs. I'm not sure. I'm joking.
No, actually they do send it to you in that.
Well, they send everybody. Yeah, a lot of people send all the plugs in. But talk about the collage and talk about this move to the network.
So, all right. First, I'll talk about the move to the network, then Kramer stuff. I think it's a good idea. The big thing is that you've seen a lot more companies, or suddenly a lot of the AV companies, AV manufacturers really, are starting to take network security far more seriously. I mean, let's put it this way: you take your pick. Both Extron and Crestron happily give out all the network ports that they need and everything. In fact, I can actually say we have GVE or Global Viewer Enterprise here, and we talked it over with Extron, and we had a very old version, and they said, you know what? It's probably just going to be easier if we just go and give you a clean install, because that has all the new patch updates, and as long as you're up to date with your your SQL database and everything, they're like, we'll just take your configurations and move it all over. And I gotta admit, looking at some of the stuff that Extron's doing for their network solutions are actually pretty nice. Their new version of GVE is actually pretty flexible, where the old one that we've been working with is kind of like the old Model T Fords, in which you can pick whatever color of black you want. So but once again, I'm happy with how Kramer at least is going. Yes, we're moving stuff onto the network. We're moving things more AV over IP, which is great. I'm just waiting for when those guys develop something that can actually reduce the bandwidth that you need to run video over the network and actually have everything in order.
That's going to be the magic bullet there for everybody, with the exception of SVSI.
Yeah. And then the last thing, as far as the VIA products, they put out there's the Connect Pro. There's now I believe it's there's the Collage, which is the super high-end one, and then I think it's like the Classroom or the Collaborate. It's their midpoint one, and pretty much, I remember talking with the guys about this. It's a Windows 10 PC. Mm-hmm. And you can do, like actual student tallying with it, which, I'm not gonna lie, it would save our department a lot of headaches, because we have the little tally clickers, and you get like these bags of 300 of them or something like that, and it's like, okay, everyone. Of them. Yeah. So it's nice in the fact that you can go and say, okay, guys, we're gonna do the tally. Oh yeah, here, just go to your app store and go and put it in, and we'll go from there. Yeah. That's nice on their part. So yeah, but they still have a little ways to go with some things. Cough, cough. iOS 9. But anyway, moving forward.
Ernie, I'm going to bring you on this, and there's a reason I'm keeping Greg to last, because Greg has Greg has an interesting networking situation.
That's never ever a good sign.
What you do? You said
that sounds like the bear trap just opened.
You've got 100 different IT departments, so that's why I want to end with you. Ernie, you guys have quite a few devices on the network. You've got a large deployment of Fusion, which is Crestron's asset management. You've done Dante, you've done AVB, so you guys are already in this network bed, right, when it comes to stuff on the network. Compare what you've already experienced with some of the stuff that Kramer is already talking about now, rather.
Okay. Well, I don't have much Kramer product on my campus, so I'm not real familiar with it. Like what I believe Bill said a while ago, I thought of them as switchers and small DA boxes and stuff like that. That's where we've always used our Kramer products. I have seen some of their VIA products on campus. They seem to, the ones that we've had here were very technician oriented. We had to have somebody close by to make sure it was connected properly, and we got all the parts back and stuff like that. So we've kind of steered away from that. But yes, we do have a lot of stuff on the network.
Ernie, can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Sure.
The one good thing I have noticed that some of the wireless collaboration manufacturers have started doing is that splash page that initially comes in. You can actually configure that. As I say, I think you can do it with Kramer and a couple other ones. So it is a nice thing that they've realized. Oh yeah, not everyone wants to see an advertisement for the company. They actually want to see like the school branding. So there's at least that.
Yeah, there is that. And like you said, several of them are doing that now. Yeah. But we do have a lot of stuff on the network. In fact, we hung so much stuff on the network that I got reorganized again. I'm part of network engineering now.
Wow.
So our director of network engineering has course, the general network engineering group, my group, and video conferencing. And we all work together to bring stuff in and make sure it all works properly without disrupting the rest of the network. But we are trying to put anything and everything we can on the network. And I think our industry is finally maturing enough in that area where the network people are not afraid to see us come and say, hey, we need to add this and this and be able to control it remotely. That used to be, your stuff's not going to be on our network. If we have to build you a separate network, we'll do that. But now we have our own, we have subnets. We're seeing that we can talk across subnets. We used to have issues with some of our equipment that when we moved from put equipment in one building and the control system in another, they couldn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
But we're no longer seeing issues like that. I like what we're seeing, what I read about from this article from Kramer you shared with us, and how they're bringing all the different tools, or more and more different tools, in together and bringing them into a consolidated package. Like you said, we use Fusion, and we're trying to use it, in the same way.
All right, Mr. Brown, this is your time to shine here. Here's the thing, Greg is again, you've got a good, an interesting perspective, and the fact that UCLA, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think has 150 different IT departments.
No, last I heard it was only 34.
Okay, that's still a lot.
But
right?
we're fairly decentralized in lots of ways. The way I like to put it is we tend to like the creativity and academic freedom of 200 different departments charging off in different directions and not talking to one another. So with that preface, what was your question, Tim?
I don't know what my question. So look at stuff like this, right? Whether it's the Kramer Network or other devices that are living and breathing on the network. How do you do that in that situation where you've got these various fiefdoms?
Well, there's the expression, what is it? Hold your friends close, your enemies closer. And I think to paraphrase that, you hold your IT contact even closer still. You have to be best buds with your IT folks. And when we got set up with our own subnets, probably more than 10 years ago now, it was working with the NOC, the folks that control the campus backbone, and they know us and we know them, and we can call or email them when we have questions or problems or need them to jump through crazy hoops like opening and closing ports like we've been doing of late to diagnose some oddities we've been seeing. But you have to have a good, capable, stout IT department if you're not already part of them, and you need to have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Although, I'm a bit disappointed. The original article you sent over to us here said Kramer pledges to change the AV landscape entirely. Did they do that in ISC? I can't say I have to say I missed that memo where the AV landscape has changed entirely thanks to Kramer. I mean, my first reaction was, this is the same Kramer we're talking about, right?
Well, and that's a thing, right? I've had this conversation.
Not to diss Kramer.
No.
I mean, I have friends.
Maybe they're going for a pun in which it's the landscape. Oh.
The landscape as opposed to portrait. Here's the thing, and I'm not speaking out of turn or releasing any secrets, because I've said this to the folks at Kramer before. They have an issue in the U.S. outside of the 50 states and possibly even North America. I'm not uber familiar with the 51st state, the Great White North, and Canada's concentration there.
But we have people who listen in Canada. Be careful.
All two of them. Which is twice as many. Matt Scott, yeah. Outside the U.S., Kramer is huge. I mean, huge. It's almost like it's an entirely different company, right? From a mind share and a market share standpoint. Because you're right. I mean, growing up in AV, Kramer they were the switches, right? They were the black boxes. that everybody they were the glue a lot of times. And I think that article should have said Kramer is changing their AV landscape
Yeah.
at ISE. Is what it probably should have said, because they have, again, a lot of folks are doing stuff on the network. A lot of stuff people are doing really cool things. This is for them, it's a step in trying to shed that little black box mentality and view. I think.
Tim, there is one thing I'll note that just kind of looking at how we're talking about, like, AV integration and IT in this case, and Ernie probably helped me out here with the restaurants doing this on the Fusion back end, but we were actually talking this over with the Extron folks. And instead of having the GVE server on its separate subnet and everything else, we're actually going to put it on the actual college domain. But the way we're going about it is we're actually using Active Directory, and our IT guys were like, "Wait, that thing can use Active Directory?" We're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, done. This will make life so much easier. Here, we can actually put it in groups. We'll tier it out for you." Like, they were happy as can be. They were like, "Oh yeah, no, this will make." They're like, "We'll embrace this."
Yes.
So,
Crestron has been there. We have not moved to that yet, but it is in our plans for this summer, and we're upgrading the next version of Fusion, and we're replacing our server at the same time with the virtual server. And at that point, we're going to go ahead and go to Active Directory and all the controls that's going to give us.
So that's something I do have to admit, at least from an IT and AV perspective, that's at least coming more together, because it's, I need to access GVE. Okay, I can go into the computer lab and go and find it because my credentials allow me that access, and it's a nice step forward from, okay, I have to go to only my office because my stuff only had the access to the GVE login. So it's a nice moving forward.
Absolutely. All right, guys. From our buddies over at AV Network, 14 essentials of the connected classroom. I'll go through a couple of them here. First is this new quote-unquote faster, better connectivity with Wave to Wi-Fi. Polling, which we talked about. Stop waving, and there's even a thing up there. No surfing puns, whatever. BYOD casting, obviously connected classrooms and stuff like that. Ernie, you can either agree with one or two of the essentials, or you can add your own essentials. But what are some things you have to have in the connected classroom?
I'm going to agree with the Wave 2 Wi-Fi. We're in the process of doing that, hopefully campus-wide. And when I say campus-wide, I mean throughout our hospitals and everything else, too. They started with the most heavily used classrooms. They came to me and said, where do we need to do it first? That's one advantage of being part of the networking group now. Is, they think about us, not we get the leftovers. So I think Wi-Fi infrastructure, in our active learning centers, we're putting in high-density access points so we can handle more devices. And, I think, one of the other articles we're going to talk about talks about, seeing 8 devices per person. And we're starting to see that, but I think that's a big one. The BYOD casting, yes, we're trying to do that. Someone, I don't know if it might have been Bill, said, we're looking for the good one, or maybe it was Mike. I haven't found one that I really like. We're putting in 2 different BYOD gateways, as we're calling them. We had to come up with a generic term, just so if someone brings in something wireless, how do we connect to it? And I don't like having to have a physical device. We have to, a dongle we've got to hang off their unit, because then you have to make sure you've got the right connectors for whatever they're bringing in. So I want something that can be seen wirelessly, and we've got one device for iOS devices and another gateway for everybody else. And they connect a little bit different. So you've got to have 2 training sessions if you've got a group of people that are going to be swapping back and forth with their devices.
Yeah.
Mike, you're about to say something.
No, I was just laughing because that's the case with everybody. Everyone's trying all these different variety of wireless presentation devices, and
Like I said,
yeah,
we're
go ahead.
We're putting 2 in every classroom, So
Yep.
I've got one that's costing me about $200, one that's costing me about $1,000, and then the programming that goes into it, maintaining it, waking them up when they need to be woken up. And the manufacturers like to push updates on a irregular but often basis.
Yeah.
So you don't know when you're going to fire it up, and it says I can't run till I install the download that was pushed last night.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I love those guys.
You got the instructor sitting there tapping their foot, room full of students. And,
Yours only tap their feet?
well, we don't get close enough for them to tap anything else.
Okay.
But and it's one of those. This worked yesterday. What do you do now? So those are the ones I think that I'll chime in on. We do a lot of polling. Mentioned a while ago. And that's listed in here, but we're doing it mostly with apps and we use Turning Technologies Turning Point, but we have a number of their little clickers, but we're moving over to where the students can download the app and run it that way. And it interfaces directly with our learning management systems and makes it real simple for the instructors to use it for, participation points, quizzes, or attendance, whatever they want to use it for.
No. All right, Mr. Brown, what are some of your additions, or you can agree with some of those?
I'll agree with a couple, although I thought a bunch of these read just like press releases. I mean, did people pay to put some of these in here?
I don't know. Ask them.
Wait, one answer.
This is not 60 Minutes.
Oh.
I am not Mike Wallace.
Let's see. What was the one I like the one about the audio, which doesn't pimp anybody. New and improved the human voice. Yeah, audio is really important and something a lot of people don't do very well. They do mention one product I think is pretty slick in number 14, the personalized listening, the new listen box that will send direct to your smartphone or tablet.
Yeah.
Also, an easy way to deal with hearing assist issues if you've got spaces that don't have hearing assist. And we have hearing assist every place, and I know lots of other people don't have hearing assist all the places they are supposed to have hearing assist. But that's a really slick box. So those are the two that I'll give a shout out to.
Well, it also depends on your local laws as well. Here in Illinois, there's a threshold for audience members. Like if your space, and I'm going to get this wrong, but I believe it's 500 or 700. If your space holds that many people, you have to have hearing assist here in Illinois.
I thought for ADA it was anything.
Oh,
with,
that's right. For ADA, that's right.
Anything
I'm sorry.
with PA over 50, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait,
you're right.
it was over 50, and I think they dropped that in the last
They
year.
dropped it. If you have, the last one that I was informed of in a meeting with some architects had gone through a class on it was, if we're doing speech reinforcement,
Right.
we've got to do it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Now, there are different formulas you use depending on the size of the room, how many receivers you have to have available.
Right. See, we don't even have to worry about receivers. That's handled by another unit, but we do have to put the transmitters in.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Tomei, what are some of the essentials for a connected classroom?
Well, a couple points that I picked out of the article was video management, so kind of the back end of lecture capture, because we spend a lot of time working on in-room capture equipment and solutions, but a lot of times schools don't really pay attention to the fact that someone's going to have to pay a lot of time and attention to the management of these videos once they're recorded, and a lot of time there's staffing that's not set up. People don't really understand what happens with the videos once they're recorded and how it all gets linked to class websites and learning management systems. So I really picked video management out of that article as pretty important, and also web conferencing. These days, everybody wants some sort of web conferencing technology installed in classrooms, a camera and at the minimum a mic and a installed camera and some sort of interface like a Vadio AV bridge or something similar to connect to the PC. So I think that's really important these days, bringing that in, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than going the full-blown video conferencing route for every classroom. Yeah,
absolutely is.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. O'Donnell, you'll have the last word on the connected classroom here, bub.
Well, funny you should mention that. Mike just mentioned the web conferencing thing. We actually got around to play around with Extron's MediaPort 200.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I actually have to give them credit for this one. They actually took the fine components of what you have with a Vadio AV bridge, and they actually put echo cancellation in. And the only reason that's such a big deal is because, well, you've used Skype as much as I have, and it's okay if it's point to point, but if you're in a classroom, not so much. So, yeah, that aside, I'm with Ernie on the other point, and that is beefing up the Wi-Fi in the classrooms, because folks are just bringing more and more devices into the rooms. Most of our classes, at least in the new building, everybody's got a tablet. Everybody's got a smartphone of some sort, and there's a fair amount of laptops and everything, but in the classrooms, there's at least an iPad or a Kindle Fire or something like that in the rooms, and folks just, as I say, the Wi-Fi is just getting hammered. So that's a big backbone to work on.
All right, guys. Here's the last story we'll do for the day, and I wish I had a sound effect of, I don't know, taps playing in the background or something. Crestron has announced the end of sale for Quick Media Series products. I will point out that we were recording this on March 1st, 2016. I don't know how many years they've had DM. I think this is the 7th anniversary of DM. The end of sale is expected March 25th, 2016. In the release, they list a bunch of replacement products, which I think is fabulous. So if you had a QM MD 8x8, well, obviously you're going to get a DM MD 8x8. If you had a QM MD 7x2, you're also going to get a DM MD 8x8. I will point out there's a couple products that they do not have replacements for. The ever fabulous QM RMCRX BA. If you ever worked with this device, you will probably understand why there's not a replacement product. All I will say about that. It was actually a cool little box, but holy crap. Getting into that sucker through serial, you had to do like 2 or 3 different button presses, and it was interesting. So I actually had to make my own little serial cable because the pinouts were weird. So I don't really have a story. You guys can comment if you want, but I just thought it was interesting that they're finally ending the QM series. So
it outlived the first generation DM equipment that got end of sale December, I think.
Yeah, it did. Good point.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been around a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could, I may call up somebody that sells Crestron and ask how much I could get a QM RMC or XBA for. So just for the nostalgia of it. So.
Wait. They just got rid of the QM the QM transmitters. They might still have RMC still for sale, although the RMC3 should have taken care of that allegedly.
Allegedly, so yeah. All right, that's all we got. Bill, since you're up on the screen, how can people get a hold of you?
They can get me on LinkedIn, as well as I'm quite active on Twitter at the original OD. So that's the quickest way to get me. So.
All right, very good. Mr. Ernie Bailey, how can people find you, sir?
Find me on LinkedIn as well. That's where I'm usually active.
All right, very good. Mr. Greg Brown, thank you, sir. You've pushed your button again, Greg. He's muted.
I know. It was the most intelligent stuff I said all day, right?
It was fabulous.
I only do that maybe once every 6 months or so on the show.
But it's
live.
fun when you do.
Yeah, well, If I wasn't here to poke fun at, what would you do, Tim?
Poke fun at Bill. That's
Yeah.
an easy one. Go
Yeah.
ahead. How can people get a hold of you?
Me again, LinkedIn also.
All right, very good. And Mr. Tomei from Tomei AV, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you bet. I can. People can find me on my website, tomeiav.com. That's TOMEIAV.com. And quick plug, I just started writing a monthly column for Campus Technology magazine, and first one came out in February. So head over there and check it out.
Yeah, very good.
Thanks.
Absolutely, yeah. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me. I'm on Twitter somewhere, I'm sure. But go by the website if you would please, avnation.tv. avnation.tv, you will find this program and a host of others. If you're interested in home technology, home automation, stuff like that, we have a brand new show called Resi Week, similar to AV Week, only covers the residential side. So yesterday we covered the fact that you can get Dolby Atmos and 4K out of a service called Vudu. It's a streaming movie service, and they started offering both of those. So check that out. Also, if you're watching this live, or you get this on when we post it this week, and you're in San Jose and going to the Infocom Connection show, come by and say hi. Myself will be there. Also, Jess Shrego from AV Nation will be there as well. So that's I think that's it. Yeah, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. As all the time we have for EdTech.